This is the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 15, 2019, Monday. I am your technical analyst, JC De Guzman. Tonight I'll be discussing SSI, BHI, WPI, SGP, ZHI, PNB, SMC, LTG, AEV, and finally CHP. I'd like to mention, by the way, that out of all 10 stocks, only LTG has an upcoming dividend announcement with an ex-dividend date of April 24, 2019. So LTG will be giving away a total of 30 centavos worth of cash dividend per share with an ex-dividend date of April 24, 2019. So expect LTG's price to decline by more or less 30 centavos per share on April 24, 2019. Okay, that's part of the dilution. The share price must adjust. That's what we call the dilution process. Now, if you're going to buy LTG shares before April 24, 2019, and if you will keep those shares at least until the ex-dividend date itself, then you will still receive those newly bought shares will be receiving dividends. However, if you're going to buy LTG shares either on or after the ex-dividend date, then those LTG shares will not receive dividends anymore. I'm particularly referring to the dividends with the next dividend date of April 24, 2019. Okay. Now, if you're going to sell, I'm already talking about selling. A while back, it's about buying. So now, if you're going to sell LTG shares before April 24, 2019, then those LTG shares will not receive this cash dividend anymore. But if you're going to buy LTG shares, or if you're going to sell rather, if you're going to sell LTG shares either on or after April 24, 2019, then those shares will still be entitled to receive 30 centavos worth of cash dividend per share. Okay, I hope you got that. Those on, before, and after scenarios, whether you are buying or selling. Okay, now before we deep dive into the chart of LTG, let's talk about the first stocks first. So let's begin with SSI. So SSI closed on Monday at 2.60. It managed to break out above its previous resistance at 2.54, which is now acting as its immediate support. And resistance is now at 2.71. Do take note that this ascent in price, or this breakout from 2.54, happened with a strong volume above its 10-day volume average. And this green candlestick is also, it also closed above, or it's almost equal. It's equal to its VWAP, to its volume weighted average price of 2.6. So that's still a bullish point for SSI. What I particularly like about SSI's chart is it managed to sustain its position above the 10-day simple moving average for how many days already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's use this one. For how many days already? For 9 trading days straight. 9 trading days straight. That was the time when MACD crossed above the signal line. That was also the time when the price moved above the 10-day simple moving average. You know what happens when my 10 SMA and MACD combo becomes true? That's a confirmed buy signal. Yeah? So do you still remember that? I do hope you still do. So if you were able to catch that signal last April 1, 2019, then you should be in a gaining position already. You should be having a winning stock already by now. You should already have a winner stock actually by now. And with this one, it's a green candlestick, check. It managed to close. It's not lower than its VWAP, check. volume is above the 10-day volume average, checked. So we already have 3 out of 4 criteria right now. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution to find out if the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Let's find out. So here, let's take a look at SSI's chart. So this is the price volume distribution. 2.71 is the intraday high, 2.5 is the intraday low. Yep, the most voluminous range and the most traded range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. See this part here? That's it. So all 4 criteria are present on SSI, in short. Okay? So when all 4 criteria are present, it means it's logical to either top up on your position or to enter a new top up on your current holdings, or to enter a new position. If you're going to top up or enter on a new position, make sure that you buy within the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades, not at any price. So that would be between 2.6 and 2.71, or 2.6 to 2.70. Got it? Hope you got that. Now MACD remains bullish. Just a caveat, or just a friendly reminder though, that RSI is already close to its classical overbought level. So I advise that even though I am bullish on SSI, that's my overall sentiment by the way, I would advise that you become more prudent by considering locking in some profits near 2.7, lock in some profits near that resistance area, 2.7. You don't have to sell everything, by the way. Just a few tranches will do, just to lock in some profits. Now, if the price continues its ascent above 2.7, then you still have a few more shares that will benefit from that continuity of ascent in price of SSI. Then you still have the option to use the sold price from the previously sold shares to buy or to top up on your position on SSI. Of course, you should only entertain the idea of topping up if and only if those 4 criteria are present again when the price is already moving above 2.70. Same thing goes for those who are just in the planning stage right now on whether or not you're going to enter a new position in SSI. But based on what we found out just a few seconds ago, it's logical to enter on a new position on SSI within 2.6 to 2.70, from 2.6 to 2.70. Okay? Again, those who already have a position in SSI, consider locking in some profits near 2.70. Foreign investors, by the way, they sold about 10 million pesos worth of shares today. For 2019 year to date, they are on a net foreign buying status still, okay, for foreign investors. And as far as the alignment of its moving averages is concerned, I'm seeing a perfect bullish alignment. So it's okay. I think in this case, it's okay to just let your trailing stop loss do its thing. Don't forget to do an upward adjustment every time SSI registers a price higher than the previous price. Okay, that's it for SSI. Now let's move on to BHI. BHI closed on Monday at 0.074. It also broke above the previous resistance at 0.0732. That is now acting as its immediate support. Should it retreat below 0.0732, that will make 0.0668 as the support level. But for now, the resistance is at 0.0794. Do take note, by the way, that this green candlestick closed, it's also equal to its volume weighted average price of 0.074. It's the same closing price. So it's a green candlestick. It did not close below its VWAP. And volume is also above its 10-day volume average. So 3 out of 4 criteria are already present. Let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for BHI. So 0.076, this is the intraday high, 0.072 is the intraday low. The range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So 4 out of 4 criteria are present on BHI. Okay, and do note, by the way, that the last price is also moving above the 10-day simple moving average. Okay, and by the way, take a look at MACD. It already crossed above the signal line, so that's a bullish. That golden cross is a bullish signal. And although foreign investors are not significantly buying or participating on BHI, they bought about 260,000 worth of shares on Monday. And for 2019 year to date, for what it's worth, I think they are on a net foreign buying status for 2019 year to date, although their participation again is not that significant compared to the foreign investors' participation among blue chip or index stocks. Okay, so BHI is still trending, both not only in the short term but also in the medium term, since it's still moving above the 50-day simple moving average. So my overall sentiment on BHI is bullish. Consider locking in some profits once the price draws closer to the resistance near 0.0794. And if you're asking if it's okay to top up or to enter a new position, I think it's logical to do that based on the presence of those 4 criteria that we've noticed or we've identified a while back. So that's my analysis, assessment, and overall recommendation for BHI. Make sure that you don't buy at any price, by the way. Let me emphasize that. You should only buy between 0.074 and 0.075, this level here. Or maybe these 3 here. These are three price points, 0.073 all the way to 0.075. Alright? Now moving on to WPI. WPI closed on Monday at 0.73. Support is at 0.70. Resistance is at 0.73 itself. And it's a precursor to the next resistance at 0.77. WPI closed equal to its volume weighted average price of 0.73 as well. And it's a green candlestick. And this green candlestick came with a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. And the alignment of the moving averages is already in a perfect bullish position, although it's not that obvious on your end. But if we are going to zoom this in, we will see that the 10 SMA is above the 50 SMA, and 50 SMA is slightly above the 200-day SMA. Notice that MACD also has been moving above the signal line since April 3, 2019. That was the time when the price closed above the 10 SMA. So if you are following my 10 SMA and MACD combination, then you should have gotten a signal to do a test buy on WPI last April 3, 2019. And you should still be holding your position up until now, since it's still moving above the 10 SMA. Unless you have a very steep trailing stop loss. Okay? So historical volatility is at 55%. That's a moderate risk level for WPI already. Foreign investors, their participation again is insignificant on WPI, so I'm not going to mention that. So let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for WPI on Monday. So the most traded and most voluminous range is between 0.72 to 0.74. Okay, actually it's still closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, actually, because of this volume between 0.73 and 0.74. Not just volume, by the way, but also the number of trades. So all four criteria are present on WPI as well, meaning to say it's logical, it's backed by data. If you are planning to top up or to enter a new position, just make sure you don't buy at any price. Park your buying price between 0.72 to 0.74. Okay, please take note of that. So that's it for WPI. Let's move on to SGP. SGP closed on Monday at 598 pesos per share. Its volume weighted average price is 567.83. It obviously closed above its VWAP, and this green candlestick came with a volume that's also above its 10-day volume average. Foreign investors, meanwhile, bought about 1.5 million pesos worth of shares, and MACD has been moving above its 10-day SMA since April 10, 2019. I had to plot an up Fibonacci extension for me to get the psychological resistance for SGP. So let me zoom this in so we can pull the chart down. Let me do that again. So here you go. This 718.60 is still a historical resistance, but plotting the 61.8% Fibonacci extension, which is the psychological resistance, we would get 726.2. It's still almost in confluence or almost equal to its historical resistance near 718.60. But in this case, we will follow the historical resistance near 718.60. I just wanted to show you if we will spot any confluence between the 61.8% Fibonacci extension and its historical resistance at 718.60. And as we can see now, we've almost seen a confluence between the two. So it's very close. Okay, but nonetheless, historical resistance is at 718.6. Still, that's quite far. At this point, my recommendation is to lock in some profits on SGP, especially near 600, between 600 to 620. 600 to 620. So lock in some profits, especially if you already entered a new position somewhere near 487 to 490 or 500. Okay, lock in some gains near 600 to 620 already. I am bullish, but my advice again is to lock in some profits between 600 to 620. Should it continue its ascent above 620 to 650, then there's always an opportunity for all of us to enter a new position, provided those four criteria that we are always checking are present, provided they are present. Okay? So this ascent in price, all three criteria are present. Now let's take a look at its price and volume distribution chart. Here you go. So as we can see here, the most traded and most voluminous range was registered closer to its intraday high than its intraday low. So if you're going to top up or to enter a new position, but in this case, although I'm bullish on SGP, I'm more inclined into advising you to lock in some profits between 600 to 620, like what I mentioned a while back. So I'm not going to encourage you to enter a new position in SGP just yet. Okay, locking in some profits is the name of my game for now on SGP. So if you're going to lock in some profits, then you do it near 600, between 600 to 620 pesos per share. Okay, should SGP close, or should it start below 600 tomorrow, make sure that you lock in your profits between 590 to 600. Be quick when SGP starts with a weak start. Okay, so that's it for SGP. Now let's take a look at the next stock in the list. We have ZHI. So ZHI closed on Monday at 0.375. VWAP was also on that level. Support is at 0.363. Resistance is at 0.4076. ZHI, I think it's already moving below. Yeah, it's below its 10-day simple moving average of 0.3755. So since it's between its 10 SMA and the 50 SMA, my overall sentiment on ZHI is already sideways or neutral. So it might just trade the range between 0.385 and 0.363 from here, unless a significant change on volume will occur or will happen on Tuesday or Wednesday. Do note, however, that we only have 2 more trading days left this Holy Week, and during this season, most people are on a vacation mode. Most traders are on a vacation mode, so don't expect much total turnover value to happen, not just on individual stocks but also on the entire PSEI. Okay, so volume isn't that high on ZHI for today. I think this is not even 50% of its 10-day volume average. So today's volume is below 50% of its 10-day volume average. So this one, not all 4 criteria are present. So definitely don't enter a new position. Don't top up on ZHI if you have a position in ZHI. Don't buy. Don't enter on a new position if you don't have ZHI yet. Wait some more. Wait for a pullback close to 0.36, 0.36. Let's take a look at its price and volume distribution. So here, 0.38 to 0.375, that's the most traded and most voluminous range. I think ZHI was not that active today since there were only 3 price fluctuations or price points that were traded on ZHI today. That's 0.37, 0.375, and 0.38. People are really in a vacation mode on ZHI. Not just on ZHI, but on most stocks actually. So my overall sentiment is it's actually bearish on ZHI, and my recommendation is that you don't buy just yet. Don't do a test buy just yet. Wait for a pullback close to 0.36. Okay, moving on. PNB. PNB closed on Monday at 53.5. It closed above its VWAP of 52.10. Just in case you're thinking that this drop in price was caused by a dilution from a dividend, nope. PNB does not have an ex-dividend date today. This is really a technical correction. Okay, technical correction on PNB, but let's take a look at this one. 56. Okay, last Friday it closed at 56.65. Then on Monday it closed at 53.5. I think this should have been a red. This should have been a red candlestick. Okay, now volume is also above its 10-day volume average, and the last price is already moving below the 50-day simple moving average. So from here, I already have a bearish overall sentiment on PNB since it's already outside the trending zone. It's below 50-day simple moving average already. And MACD, take a look at MACD here. It continues its slide. It continues to slide down below the signal line. It's been in this channel since March 22, 2019. It's been a while, relatively speaking. I think it is on its way to testing the classical oversold territory of the RSI. And I think when that happens, that will make PNB hit uh, the support at 49.30. So let's wait for that to happen. Let's wait for that to happen. Historical volatility is at 37%. That's a low risk level for PNB, but it doesn't mean that you should hurry up and do a test buy on PNB. No, not just yet. Okay, not just yet. Let's take a look at the price and volume distribution of PNB. Wow, very active, huh? But nonetheless, the most traded and most voluminous range was registered closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Particularly this range here, between 51 all the way to 51.85. See this? Between 51 to 51, we can see 51 to 51.8 right here. Okay, 51 to 51.8. So this particular range might come into play again on Tuesday or Wednesday. So my overall sentiment on PNB is still bearish. My recommendation is that since not all four criteria are present, my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback near 49.30, between 50 to 49.30 as much as possible. So when the price enters that range, reevaluate. If the four criteria are present, then do a test buy. Again, not at any price. Make sure that you do a test buy or you top up within the range that get the most volume and the highest number of trades. If you don't know how to do price volume distribution analysis on your own, please post a request in our private clients forum and I will gladly do that for you. Okay, next in the list we have SMC. SMC closed on Monday at 173.7. It closed below its VWAP. It closed, is it? Yeah, below its VWAP of 177.13. It is now moving between its 10 SMA and 50 SMA. Therefore, as early as now, I'm telling you that my overall sentiment on SMC is sideways or neutral. Okay, and this red candlestick, let's take a look at the volume. Volume is also above its 10-day volume average. Still a relatively slim volume compared to what we saw last Feb 18 all the way to Feb 26 and sometime in March 7 until March 13. Still relatively low compared to those two different time frames, or no, not time frames, but two different sets of weeks or dates. Historical volatility is at 33%, a low risk level for SMC. Foreign investors are not that active. In fact, they just sold about 2 million pesos worth of shares today. Last Friday, they bought about 49 million. So for 2019 year to date, their overall sentiment, foreign investors' overall sentiment for 2019 year to date remains bullish. They are on a net foreign buying status. Interesting. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution of SMC. This is a quite active stock as well. I don't know. Take a look at this. The intraday low today was at 173.7. That one got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades as well. This one. Did you see that? It's not just closer to its intraday low. It's the intraday low itself. Now, other than that 173.7, I would like to highlight as well this range here. It's between 181.4 and 182. Okay, but nonetheless, it's 173.7. It's the price point that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades today. SMC 173.7. That's the intraday low and the closing price. So it's all the more that you should wait for a pullback near, as much as possible, closer to 168.6. 168.6. As soon as every time SMC hits a price lower than its last price, make sure that you reevaluate to see if the selling sentiment uh, subsides a little, especially if it's if the selling pressure is lower or weaker than the previous day's selling sentiment. Okay, as the selling sentiment or selling pressure weakens, when that happens, we might see a rebound. So the price might just start to bounce away from its immediate support level when that happens. So when that happens, reevaluate. As soon as you see a green candlestick, you reevaluate to check if the four criteria are already present. If they are, do a test buy within the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. And if you don't know how to do price volume distribution analysis, what's the answer? Post inside our private clients forum and I'll get back to you then. Okay, that's it for SMC. Now let's take a look at LTG. A while back, I already discussed to you the uh, dividend play for LTG. Okay, take note that LTG, a dilution will occur on LTG's price on April 24, 2019. That's the ex-dividend date, and expect the price to go down as much as 30 centavos per share on April 24, 2019. For now, LTG already closed at 15.62. That's below its VWAP of 15.83. It already broke below its previous support level at 15.67, and that is now acting as its immediate resistance. So immediate support is now pegged near 14.6. 14.6. There's still a chance for LTG to recover above 15.67, but let's see. With only 2 trading days left this Holy Week, I'm not that confident to say that LTG will bounce back or will bounce away from its or will go back above its previous support at 15.67. But that's something that's not impossible. That's something that's not impossible. Let's wait. Let's see tomorrow, Tuesday. But anyway, for now, this stock is already moving below its 50 SMA, meaning to say the trend has been broken down already. So the possibility of seeing LTG at a price lower than 15.6 is more imminent, is more dominant. That probability is more dominant than the probability of seeing LTG above 15.67 again. Especially that today's candlestick is partnered with a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. So there's an appetite. There was an appetite indeed to sell LTG today. Oh, see this one. MACD already registered a death cross. It already crossed below its 10-day, or not 10-day, but the signal line. That's a death cross. One more thing. Foreign investors sold about 37 million pesos worth of shares today. The biggest net foreign selling they have registered, or the biggest foreign transaction they've registered since when? Since March 14, 2019. And it's also the biggest net foreign selling from that day to date until today. Okay? But for 2019 year to date, foreign investors are they are bearish on LTG. They are on a net foreign selling status for 2019 year to date. Anyhow, historical volatility is at 39%. That's a low risk level for LTG. But let's take a look at the price volume distribution chart of this stock before I drop my overall sentiment recommendation. So for Monday, the most traded and most voluminous range is between 15.62 to 15.94. It's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So 15.62 to 15.94. 15.62 to 15.94. Do take note that 15.62 is not just the intraday low but also the closing price of LTG today, Monday. So here's my advice. My overall sentiment first. I am bearish on LTG, and my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback near, not at 14.60, but there's a midterm support level before 14.60. It's at 15 pesos per share. Somewhere there, 15 pesos per share. There's a possibility for LTG to bounce away once it hits 15 pesos per share. Okay, so reevaluate as soon as the price hits 15 pesos per share. If there's a if you see some weakening on the selling pressure, and if you see a green candlestick, and if all four criteria are present, then it could be a signal that traders won't let LTG to draw closer to 14.6. Maybe they would want to translate 15 pesos per share as a rebounding area for LTG. Okay, but let's wait and see. There's still a possibility as well that there's still a possibility for LTG to continue its downtrend once it touches 15.0. So let's just reevaluate. I'm just stating the possibilities or the possible scenarios that may happen. Okay, and the midterm support levels that we need to watch out for as well. Okay. So that's it for LTG. Now moving on to AEV. AEV closed on Monday at 56 pesos per share. It closed below its VWAP of 57 pesos. Support is at 56. Resistance is at 61.88. AEV is at the brink of breaking down below its support at 56 pesos per share. If it breaks down below 56, that will make 50.3 as its immediate support level. This stock is already moving below its 50 SMA and below its 10 SMA, meaning to say it already broke the trend. So, and this red candlestick came with a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. So it's all the more that I am bearish on AEV. And there's another bearish signal that comes from MACD. There's a death cross, a newly registered death cross today, meaning to say MACD crossed below the signal line. For the newbies out there, MACD is the blue line, the signal line is the red line here. This is the MACD histogram. Take a look at the movement of my mouse. Okay, so this is a death cross. Historical volatility is at 39%, a low risk level for AEV. Foreign investors registered 44 million pesos worth of net foreign selling today. For 2019 year to date, it's a net foreign. I think it's there's a tug of war between being a net foreign selling and a net foreign buying for 2019 year to date. But I'll give the point to the bears, considering this this 255 million pesos worth of net foreign selling last April 4. So I'm going to give the point to the bears. So I'm going to give AEV a bearish foreign investor sentiment for 2019 year to date. So let's take a look at the price and volume distribution of AEV. Wow, it's a quite active stock as well. And at what price did it close today? 56 pesos. 56 pesos per share is its intraday low and the closing price, and that's one of the That's the price point that got one of the longest bars as well in terms of most number of trades in the or the biggest volume and the highest number of trades, 56. So the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is registered closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. It's more likely that some cross trades happened at 58.95. How did I know? Because, oh no, not so much of cross trades, because there's 33% of the one third of today's trades were registered on 58.95. It would only become the possibility of having lots of cross trades at 58.95 would only happen if we see very little number of trades, but with a significant amount of volume. But that's not the case. It's actually quite balanced in terms of volume and the number of trades. So disregard that. So anyhow, the most dominant of all these price points is 56 pesos per share, because it's the only consistent in terms of length. It got the biggest consistent in terms of length on the volume distribution and trade distribution charts. 56 pesos. So what does this mean then? I am bearish on AEV. That's given based on the facts that we've seen in this technical analysis. Now, my recommendation is that you wait for a pullback. Where? Let's see here. I'm not going to say that you should wait for a full pullback at 50.3, because there's a midterm support that I'm seeing here again. It's somewhere in there, 53.2. Okay, that's the midterm support. It's a precursor to 50.30. So wait for a pullback close to 53.2. Even when that happens and you think that the descent in price does not seem to stop, then that's the time that you should wait for a pullback closer to 50.3. But for now, don't enter a new position, don't top up, make sure that you respect your trading stop loss, don't rush. Okay, be on a risk averse mode, meaning to say that your bias is on buying near support level. So that's it for AEV. Now let's move on to the last stock in the list. We have CHP. CHP closed on Monday at 1.82. Resistance is at 2.21. Support is at 1.62. CHP closed below its VWAP of 1.87. Volume is also above the 50% of its 10-day volume average. Meanwhile, MACD continues to decline below its signal line, and RSI seems to draw closer to its classical oversold territory as well. I think when that happens, that will make CHP hit a price closer to 1.62. But for now, historical volatility is at 108%. It gives CHP an extremely high risk level. Meanwhile, foreign investors sold about 5 million pesos worth of shares today. For 2019 year to date, foreign investors are bearish on CHP. I'd like to mention, by the way, that I am seeing a perfect bearish alignment on the moving averages of CHP. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for today. Do take note that the closing price was 1.82, and the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades was registered between 1.82 and 1.87. So it's really a confirmed bearish day for CHP. My recommendation, don't top up yet, don't enter a new position, don't rush. Maybe we should only consider trading CHP, or we should only consider evaluating this one next week after the Holy Week. But for now, wait for a pullback near 1.6. So there you go for my our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 15, 2019. My name is JC De Guzman, and if you have follow-up questions, make sure that you ask inside our private clients forum. So we have 2 more trading days left for this week. I wish you a a relaxed, peaceful, disciplined trade, disciplined, profitable perhaps, hopefully, a trading day, two more trading days for this Holy Week. My name is JC De Guzman, and have a great day.